I hope to help people, change that approach. Sometimes you just need to know your website sucks or your business plan sucks. It's not going to work. There's people that have been there and done that. But I see a lot of people rushing to start a business because it sounds cool, or they think they're going to make a lot of money. They don't realize how tough it is and how you're not likely to be successful. You're more likely to fail. You're more likely to be in bankruptcy court. It's one of the most risky things you can do is start a business. Yet people do it all day, every day. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're mentioning just the failure rate. I love statistics, and so people that know me know that I just love numbers. Maybe that's why I'm a bean counter. But with those particular statistics, 2/3 of businesses are going to fail in the first 2 years, and then half of businesses are going to fail within the first 5 years. So that's already all but 1/3 of businesses, and so 1/3 of them will last up to 10 years. And so, the odds are stacked against you. 7 out of 8 companies end up failing, and so you really have to be fully aware of what those challenges are. And you're mentioning things like the small business owner, the entrepreneur just jumping into business. It's really easy to get excited about I'm passionate about this particular project or this particular cause, and I want to jump into business because it's going to be really good. I want to make money and I'm going to grow and what have you. And so then people will just do it, almost, flying by the seat of their pants, doing it willy-nilly. And I see all the time, small businesses that never even took the time to build a business plan to begin with before they've ever even decided to go into business. And it's like, trying to take a trip from Los Angeles to New York. You wouldn't hop in the car and go on that long drive, 3,000 miles across the country without at least having a roadmap or a GPS to show you how to get there. And yet people are doing that with their businesses, trying to open the doors without even knowing, what that course of action is going to be and what their business, how those, bumps in the road are going to come up and how to plan for them. And so, it's no wonder that so many fail because people are not going through those stages. It may not be sexy to build a business plan, but it's a lot less sexy to go bankrupt.
Yeah, and when you're building your legacy and you're doing your plan, like you take your idea in your head and you go, I think I have a good idea. Well, how do you know you have a good idea? You need to go flush that idea out. Sometimes I see people go from idea and they try to execute, and then they think they're doing a good job executing, but they're actually doing a really bad job executing. Why? Because they have no training. They have no plan. They don't know what they're executing, but they went from idea to execution, and then they start struggling, and then they wonder why. Now, you can do just through sheer grit and dumb luck, you can make a business work, but it's way tougher that way. Yeah. And so vetting your idea, putting it in front of a group. I remember I was in a training class, and this veteran, he said he had this really great business idea, but he didn't want to share it with anybody because he was trying to protect his core, his intellectual knowledge, as he said it. But in his own execution, he didn't realize the blunder and the flaw that he was making. If he didn't tell anybody about his great idea, then nobody would know anything about it. And so his business never got off the ground. And so he wanted some other people to invest in his idea, but he refused to share his great idea with anybody. And it was just kind of ridiculous. It was like, well, all right, you're not going to, how do you plan on getting the word out and sharing and building this idea from business? And in the business plan class, he could not articulate. He could not get it out of his head on why his idea was so great. He never launched the business, thank goodness, but because it wasn't a viable option, right? But in his head, he had that great idea. And so Jim Reed at Momentum, Texas, he does a great training program, and he trains veterans for free, and he teaches out of the Kauffman Foundation's book. And Kauffman is one of the best entrepreneurial training programs there are. And so Jim Reed does a great thing. He has classes up here in Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, Tyler, all over. And he's somebody I'd recommend getting connected to. If you're here in Texas or in the Oklahoma region or in the Southwest, definitely recommend getting connected to the Texas Veteran Business Summit, and also what Jim is doing with the entrepreneurship and training programs.
Yeah, Jim's a really, really good guy, and he's at some of the networking events that I've been at. I've come in contact with Jim quite a bit, and he also has an elevator pitch contest that he puts out at a lot of his events. So for those of you that do networking, if you don't know how to tell about your business really quick to get somebody's attention, then they're not going to be interested enough in knowing more. And so learning even how to do that elevator pitch, as boring as it might sound, that's going to be the difference between that passing in the hallway conversation turning into an actual lead that turns into business. So you have to know how to pitch yourself 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, and it's just that simple bit of knowledge, being able, like you said, James, to have that elevator pitch. Mm-hmm. That's what sets the guys apart that are successful from those that aren't successful, because the veterans that are unsuccessful don't have their elevator pitch down. When somebody asks them, tell me about your business, they start trying to tell this long story, and it's all here and there and whatnot. No, like you said, in 30 seconds or less, I need to know your name, what you do, and hopefully you've left some memorable impression on how you can help that fast. And so, but a lot of people don't take the time to do that elevator pitch. So Jim Reed's pitch contest is a great way. For me, I did the Veterans Business Battle. I was trying to compete and see how well does Funnel Science compete against other businesses. There was hundreds of applicants and only 16 finalists. And of the 16 finalists, we made it and we were the winner, right? Well, that gave me validation on my idea. Number one, in there, I had 10 minutes to pitch the business. I had to compete against other people. Well, that's what business is. Business is a competition. It's a battlefield. It's a war for resources is what it is. Right. Every day, people are going into work and they are trying to procure resources, use those resources, and make money. Sometimes they squander them away. Sometimes they get the resource and partially get it, or sometimes they don't. They maximize the resource. But that's what it is. And one of the main resources is networking, your time. And each time you go out and meet a person, you have the opportunity to say hello to them. Now, you may not be able to help their problem, but it's likely that if you leave a good impression on them, that you can get a phone call or referral out of it going down the road. But so many people just suck at their elevator pitch, and they cannot explain who they are and what they do. And if they're able to do it, it never happens in 30 seconds.
That's true. And you're making a good point there that you may not be able to help that person, but everyone knows someone. Everyone has a network. And you may not be doing business with the person that you're talking to, but they know somebody that needs you. And so the better you can prepare them to tell their network about you, the more likely it is, like you said, that you're going to get that referral. And referral business is good business. I mean, that's a nice warm lead, and they're going to give you more chance for success by that referral than if you tried to do that cold conversation. I'll take a referral every day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I've had so many people refer me business from people that I never even knew. I got a referral the other day. I was working with the guy for a month, and I was like, how did you hear about us? And he was like, well, the webmaster. The webmaster lives in Seattle. I've never been to Seattle, and she's referring business to me. Why? Because I did a good job on another one of her projects. James, when you and I grew up, there was what was called the 6 degrees of separation. And the idea or the theory is that we're connected to all people in the world by 6 degrees or within 6 contacts. Well, with the advent of social media and where we're at now, it's now within 4 degrees of separation. And I've kind of tested that a couple times over the years, but it's amazing how closely we're connected to people just through 1 or 2 of our contacts. For example, when I was in the Marines, I never had a single general ever address me by name. In 2012, I had 3 different generals address me by first name, right? So now if you come into contact with me, well, I know a couple of generals. Well, a couple of these generals are pretty high up within organizations, and you can reach out and talk to them real quick just through knowing and coming in and building a relationship with me. And James, you probably have that as well as you're building out your podcast and show. You meet people that are very influential. Well, through these different contacts, we're really only separated within 4 to 6 people with anybody in the world. Well, that's amazing. Well, somebody say, well, Alex, that's impossible. How are you related to somebody in Africa? Well, that's simple. There's a company over in Grand Prairie called Ganamat. I was referred to them by a Marine Colonel, Grant Seabolt. He's a business lawyer. He referred me to this African company. And then now I'm doing business with somebody in that Nana knows, then you're in touch with them. Through our military connections, through our school connections, just through friends and family, it's amazing how close we are. So that general that I was talking about, well, that general knows Mad Dog Mattis. Well, who's Mad Dog Mattis? Well, he's one of the cabinet members of President Trump. So now through me, through General Williams, Mad Dog, Donald Trump, right? So there's simple connections. You would never thought that these doors would have opened for a Marine sergeant, grew up dirt poor, but here it is. You have the ability to leverage these tools, your connections, the networking, but you got to, like you say, leave a good legacy. So I didn't just happen to one day have these connections. It took 10 years of hard work and building up to get to that point. It only takes one day, though. It only takes one day of screwing it up to completely ruin your legacy and your reputation. So you got to protect it every day, just like you build it.
That's true. And that's why I tell people, you're building your legacy is very deliberate and it's very intentional. And so you have to be, like you said, you have to be very mindful about what you're doing, because, one misstep can really ruin, like you said, years worth of hard work and trying to build, that nice network or trying to build your business. And so, be deliberate in what you're doing and the choices, because, they always will, come back to bite you if you made a bad decision. And there's always somebody watching. People think, well, nobody's going to see me. Yeah, bull. Yeah, that's a bunch of bull. There's always somebody watching. And so, we're going to make a difference, one way or the other. It's just, is it a good difference or a bad one? So, as far as
always somebody watching, and there's always a video camera recording.
Nowadays, for sure, yeah. So, as far as some additional resources, I know you'd mentioned tons of different resources, but as far as with your business, maybe somebody is wanting to go into a similar or parallel type venture. What resources did you come across that you would recommend to somebody wanting to go into a technical type business that would be helpful to them?
Oh man, that's a tough one. That's getting into tech. You really need to have subject matter expertise. And so before I started Funnel Science, I'd been doing digital marketing myself for probably 10 years. At least 10 years before I started. So Empower is an organization that does training for veterans. I would definitely recommend that. Google certification program. I'd strongly recommend that. Google impacts our way of life significantly. I'd also, if you're going into tech, you really need to have a bachelor's degree, and you need to go to a master's program and work on certifications. So I can't underestimate the training, but then there's also the continued and retraining of it. So LinkedIn has some training that you can do, but then there's also tools like Code Academy. There's a lot online. There's so many resources online for tech. I would say the key, though, is getting a major certification, like getting certifications from Google, Microsoft certifications, SAP, whichever track you're trying to go down. So you can be a Salesforce consultant and get Salesforce certification. Facebook, if you wanted to be a Facebook ad agency or consultant, then go that path. It really depends on which tech specialty you're going down would match up to which training to go with. But without the certifications, you're really going to have a tough time positioning yourself. With the certifications, it's not to say that you're the best, but at least it says, hey, I've accomplished this and I'm knowledgeable in this area. but without